Okay, so we are going to go over the first free response question, okay? So on this, remember they're each worth 9 points. You would not know the points that are assigned to each other, and some of the sections don't have anything to do with each other, so try every part, write down what you know. So on part A, we know the limit of f is equal to 6. And they just want a relationship between A and B, okay? So we're going to have an equation. So what happens is if we know that we get a defined value, we still can try our strategies, which our first strategy is substitution. So by substituting x is equal to 3, I would end up with 9a minus b divided by 9 minus 4 is 5. And then this is kind of a relationship. Most people, we want to just get rid of the fraction. So I'll multiply by 5. So 9a minus 6 is equal to 30. All right, so the point values, the way it works is if you have this set up, you get 1 point. And if you can solve for A, you can solve for B. Oops, this is supposed to be a B. Sorry. But if you have this together, that is also 1 point. Okay, so if you did more work and you said A equals or B equals, that's fine, but this was the minimum, okay? All right, so let's try part B. So it says in addition, so part A is still going to be true, and then we also will know another limit value. So as x approaches 1 of f is equal to 1. And now this time we want to find A and B. Okay, so we're still going to apply the limit by substitution since it's defined. So we would end up with a minus b divided by negative 3 is equal to 1, multiplied by negative 3. And so I end up with this system. So we know this, but we also know from part A that 9a minus b is equal to 30. So you can do substitution, elimination, however you want to solve it. I am a big fan of elimination. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything by a negative 1. Okay? And add these together. So I get negative 8a, the b's cancel, is equal to negative 33, and then divide by negative 8. You don't have a calculator, so you want to leave that alone. And then if we want to find b, use either equation, and I know what a's value is. So I will subtract negative 33 over 8. And believe it or not, so I end up with this. I'm going to change this into 8, so negative 24. If you just write those side by side, you will get credit. But I'm going to go ahead and do it. So what do we get? 7. Same idea. If you make a computational error, let's say you said it was negative 67 over 8, you would still get the point because that is not an algebra error. I'm sorry, that's not a calculus error. That is an algebra error, which does not affect the calculus knowledge. Okay. So on this one, we're 2 points. You get 1 point for this, and you get 1 point if you have both of those correct. With minor errors is fine. All right, let's do part C. I love limits of infinity because they're quick. We've got the limit as x approaches negative infinity of f. So remember, limits of infinity, we want to compare the powers and see which rule applies. So since our powers are the same, this is when we used our coefficients, okay? And we know what a is, so we're going to substitute that in, okay? Well, you get 1 point if you said it was A, and you get 1 point if you plugged in your value that you found for A, okay? All right, so part D. We've got 6 points already, so this is going to be worth 3 points. But D actually has nothing to do with parts A, B, or C. So we've got the limit as x approaches 2 of G all over x squared minus 4, and we know that that's equal to 3 because they tell us that. So because our limit is defined, that means that substitution had to work. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my limit everywhere I see an x, except because this is factoring, it probably factored. So we are going to factor, okay? So I still have the limit because I'm not going to do it yet. And we've got perfect squares down here. Now, in the numerator, I don't know C and D, but because this was a rational fraction and I plug in 2 on my left, I know it's going to be undefined, and so that had to reduce mathematically, okay? I don't know what my other factor is, and I won't be able to, so I'm going to come up with an unknown letter, and I'm just going to let it be F, because I've already used C and D. You can't use another letter if it's already been defined in the problem, okay? So now we can act like we want to apply the limit for x. These would cancel, and then I'm going to apply my value of x equals 2. So I get 2 plus f all over 2 plus 2. And then I want to solve that, so multiply by 4. And so f equals 10. Now, remember, f is something I came up with. So what we know is that my numerator was x minus 2 times x plus f, and that has to be the same as our original numerator. Okay, so then I'll clean this up. And it has to be equal to this. Okay, and so by equality, I know that this 8 is equal to negative c. So 8 equals negative c, so c equals negative 8. And I know negative 20 is in my constant spot, so d equals negative 20. So I found c and I found d. The way the points work is you would get 1 point if you set up this relationship, which is pretty tricky the first time you see it. You get a second point for this, and your third point. Okay? All right, so that's all 9 points.